Hello everyone and welcome to Module 4. This is another good one. I think you're going to find it a great relief. In a way, it's your reward for having completed Module 3, which was a little bit heavy. Now you really get to see how sustainability applies to business. So we start to go from the broad to the more focused, and we look at the value chain of companies. So the suppliers and the customers especially. Because the fact of the matter is that most sustainability impacts for most companies are biggest in the supply chain and the customer use phase. If you look at a typical footprint of a company, the operational impacts are often the smallest. Take a company like Unilever. They realized that not only can they and do they need to influence the farmers, but they also need to change the customer behavior. For example, if you're using a shampoo of theirs or a washing detergent and you're still using hot water, the climate impacts of that turn out to be much bigger than the impacts of manufacturing that product. So the whole topic of sustainable consumption and production is absolutely crucial. What's more, I think it's going to be one that you'll really enjoy. You have, as always, the two forums. So on the large forum, we're asking you to think about a company that you have some relationship with, you interact with. It doesn't have to be your company that you chose for Module 1 or 2. It can be simply a company that you perhaps use their products, or you have a particular interest in them, and just look at their value chain, look at their production, and look at their consumption, and see where you find the most opportunities for making it more sustainable. Share that on the forum. As always, less than 200 words in a post. And then the small group forum, here we're asking you to look specifically at the circular economy, absolutely critical. And I'll share a link together with this head tutor video of a circular economy documentary I was involved in called Closing the Loop. We filmed cases from Latin America, Africa, and Europe, really looking at how companies and even cities are adopting the circular economy. So get some popcorn and definitely try to set aside some time to watch that one evening. What I would say here, though, is that we're asking you in the forum to focus on a case study which you're choosing for your assignments for Module 4, 5, and 6. So if you go to the assignments page, you'll see that you can download all 6 cases. We have cases from the apparel industry, glass, coffee, from mining, from tourism, and also the gaming industry. You need to pick one of those and read the case, obviously, and then it's a fictitious case, but you can assume that it's part of the real sector, the real industry, and so you can do some research on what's really going on in that industry. And in the small group forum, which is the graded forum, think about how circular economy could be an opportunity for them to improve their production and consumption. Now, when it comes to the assignment for this week, you are downloading a new template, which will be the template you'll use for Module 4, 5, and 6. And as mentioned, you are focusing on a fictitious case. You're choosing one of the 6. How to choose it? Well, it can either be something you feel you are somewhat familiar with, the sector, or it could just be that it's a sector that you're interested in, that you want to learn more about. And so make that choice and then read the case, of course, and do a little bit of research on what others are really doing within that sector. In the assignment itself, in the new template, we're asking you to identify 2 risk areas in the value chain. And so this can be anywhere on the value chain, can be in the production or the farming or the mining element, the gathering of resources, could be in the operations itself, the manufacturing, could be in the customer use phase, or even in the recycling phase. So just make sure you choose 2 different parts of the value chain where you think there are sustainability risks. where you think that the impact of the company is significant, either socially or environmentally. And then for those two areas, how can you translate that into opportunities to become more sustainable? And what would be the stakeholder benefits of implementing those opportunities or solutions? So these are the critical elements of the answers. And then we also ask you in the conclusion to look at the tension between growth, which is what most companies want to do, of course, most economies also, and environmental impact. And we give you an additional little note to download, which talks about the necessity for decoupling. Decoupling means separating economic growth impacts from environmental impacts. And so what we're asking you to do in that final part of the assignment is to reflect on how can you continue to grow this company, this business, and also radically reduce your environmental impacts. That's the piece that you need to reflect on. Please don't forget about it. It is in the marking rubric, and you should just take a look there and see exactly what we're asking for. So these are the main tasks for this week. You will see, of course, that we have posted the recording of the live session from Module 3 together with the text of the chat. You can find that under the live session forums. There is no live session for this week, Module 4. It will happen again next week. Besides that, if you are having any issues, please, if they are related to your learning journey, reach out to your success manager, Steve. If they are related to the content or you're struggling, you're not quite clear on the assignment, then reach out by tagging your tutor on the forums. We are here to support you, and remember, it is a learning journey. So let me finish off then by just giving you some creative words. In this case, my reflection is that many of the problems we have with impacts, both social and environmental, is that we are consuming too much. So you might have seen the graph of the great acceleration since the 1970s. Consumption of everything, of resources, has just gone up. This is natural, and as more economies get people out of poverty, that will only increase, but it can't increase in a finite world with fixed resources. So it seems to me that part of the answer is to give up some of our consumption, and to do it in a way where we don't feel that we're sacrificing, we're not giving up our quality of life, we're simply finding different ways to fulfill our basic human needs. In a way, we're shifting to qualitative growth rather than quantitative growth. And so, see what you think. This poem is called Giving Up. I'm giving up, not on life, but on those actions that threaten life. Not on living, but on those habits that distract from living. Not on loving, but on those fears that get in the way of loving. I'm giving up food that forges a chain of suffering and death, clothes that weave a garment of exploitation and shame, fuels that are harbingers of cancer and climate catastrophe. I'm giving up, not on people, but on the poor choices that people make. Not on freedom, but on the complacency that cripples freedom. Not on hope, but on the sense of impotence that kills all hope. I'm giving up words that break down rather than build others up. Work that lacks a larger purpose of improving society. Products that leave a trail of misery and waste in their wake. I'm giving up for the good of myself and those who have less than I do, for the good of the planet and those who share its blue-green bounty, for the good of the children and those who have and will inherit what we leave behind. I'm giving up all these things and more in my best and brightest and bravest moments for good. Last thing is just to remind you that next week you will have a group exercise in the small group forum, so be sure to engage early with that and to set aside enough time for that collaboration. That's not this week, but next week. I'm just giving you the heads up so that you check your calendars for that. Good luck, enjoy this week, and we'll see you online.